Hey guys, tonight we travel back to the foggy streets of Victorian London, where sleep is elusive and the solutions are questionable at best. Imagine the streets lit by gas lamps, the clatter of horse-drawn carriages, and you wrapped in a heavy coat, just stepping out of a theater, still holding your ticket stub from the Windsor Playhouse. You're really not sick, but your doctor has handed you a bottle of liquid that smells like ink and claims it will soothe the nerves, stabilize the spirit, and bring on sweet sleep. You didn't ask for the recipe honestly. Who would? What if it really was extracted from Ravenstow's? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what Edo here. And hey, let me know in the comments where you're re-listening from and what time it is for you right now. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on often for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing at the apothecary counter, facing a row of bottles and jars, some with golden-edged labels, some with absolutely nothing. The man behind the counter wears a double-breasted vest and moves slowly, like he's swaying out herbs and also reliving a tragic love affair from his youth. He pours bluish liquid from one jar, adds 2 drops of an amber essence, and finishes with a pinch of something powdery and suspicious. Seals the bottle, hands it to you and says, "Just a tiny sip before bed, no more than 3 drops." You take the bottle and eye it curiously. Its color is like a damp peacock feather, and the smell, well, it's kind of like someone mixed clove, turpentine, and toothpaste. Not exactly appetizing, but hey, it's the Victorian era. Even the perfumes smell like they were designed to clear a battlefield. This ISN tie your first bout with sleeplessness. For the past month, you've been tossing and turning, listening to the clockmaker next door filing metal until dawn. You've already tried milk, hot baths, prayer, and reading Shakespeare. Honestly, by the end, even Shakespeare might be fallen asleep before you did. So when a friend recommended this particular APO, the Carrie, the one with the sleep water rumored to be a favorite among the upper class, you came, hope in hand. Victorian sleep remedies most lived in that strange gray area between legal and are you sure this is okay? This potion, according to the apothecary, contains a popular compound of the time, ethyl nitrate. It gives you a light-headed feeling, kind of like tipsy without the hangover. He also mentioned hawthorn extract, which sounds healthy, but may just be there to make it taste less like regret. You head home, bottle in hand, and light the lamps. As you undress, you wonder why Queen Victoria once said sleep was God's gift to the poor. Honestly, it seems like the rich have more trouble sleeping than anyone, you included. Sitting at the edge of your bed, you finally uncap the bottle. The scent fills the room instantly. Even the cat sneezes. You pour a single drop onto a silver spoon and watch it wobble like some kind of fantasy potion, and then you drink. Most historians agree that these kinds of potions probably didn't work the way they claimed. Some say they were placebos. Others insist the faint traces of narcotics were doing the real job. And some scholars argue that the most effective ingredient was the belief that you'd fall asleep after drinking it. To this day, the academic world still debates whether these remedies cured insomnia or simply created a comforting illusion of drowsiness. But your experience right now feels real. Your eyelids grow heavy and your thoughts drift like feathers on a breeze. The cat jumps onto the bed and curls up by your feet. Maybe it smelled the magic too. You wake up a bit earlier than expected. Outside, the sky has unfully lightened yet, just a soft fog hanging over the rooftops, as if London itself is still trying to wake up. You sit up, eyeing the nearly untouched bottle of sleep potion on your nightstand. A frown creeps onto your face. Did that sleep really come from the potion, or was it all in your head? At breakfast, you chew through a slightly burnt piece of toast while your flatmate reads the morning paper out loud. An Oxford doctor claims to have discovered a new scent-based nerve calming therapy. He says You look up, scent-based. What is it this time? He shrugs. Something about lavender, coal tar, and a touch of camphor. You inhale it. You nearly choke on your coffee. That's the charm of the Victorian era. Science is just finding its feet, while doctors are still handing out poppy, tinctures, and coca leaf syrup with a straight face. And when it comes to sleep, the imagination of the era could stock an entire wizarding supply store. You decide to dig deeper. That afternoon, you head to the medical archives of the National Library. You flip through yellowed pharma, copoias, and come across one line. For those plagued by sleeplessness, boil poppy husks, loquat leaves, and sugar, drink warm. Poppy husks, you expected. Loquat leaves, that makes it sound more like insomnia milk tea. Another entry reads, soak feet in hot salt water at night, then massage temples with lavender oil. This one sounds ... surprising. Lie reasonable. Problem is, most Victorians only bath once a week, and that was on Saturdays. You come across Annabelle Woman's diary. She carefully details her own sleep formula. Sew dried catnip and rose petals into her pillow. Drink sweet almond milk before bed. Hold a pine resin candy in her mouth, and place a piece of red agate on the windows ill. Said to keep bad dreams away, she writes. You can help but smile. Is this a sleep routine or some sort of ancient protective ritual? And yet, these details begin to reveal something. The Victorians weren't exactly superstitious or primitive. They were simply people searching for calm in a world that didn't yet have scientific answers. So they placed their trust in scents, stones, herbs, and a little bit of mystery. Historians still don't fully agree on how effective these remedies actually were. Some believe the herbal wines and sleep satchels truly contained calming compounds. Others argue they were ritualistic, a psychological nudge toward rest rather than a medical cure. You flip open a volume called The Home Medical Manual. There's a little illustration, a woman holding a tiny goblet, eyes serene, a tidy bed in the background. The caption reads, a peaceful bedtime environment does more good than any potion. That line flickers in your mind like aspark. So maybe tonight, you'll do your own little experiment. No potions, no prayers, no lighting scented oils. Just sit in silence before sleep. Because sometimes history whispers to you, not everything needs curing. Some things just need time. By the time you return to your room, the sky has gone completely dark. Outside is the classic London night damp, a little foggy, and smelling faint lie of coal smoke. There's also a hint of something warm and toasty. Maybe your neighbor just finished baking dinner. You sit down under the yellow glow of your lamp and pull out your old copy of the Victorian Household Guide, which you picked up at a second-hand stall. The corners are curled and worn, like it stayed up through many sleepless nights with its readers. One line catches your eye: keep the bedroom well ventilated, sheets dry, curtains thick, and avoid exposure to moonlight. Your chuckle turns out. Moonlight was considered read a sleep disruptor. Back then you spot another section. If the lady of the house is prone to nervous agitation, a single drop of chloral hydrate in warm milk before bed is recommended. Chloral hydrate. It sounds like the opening line of Agathic horror novel, but it was actually a pretty standard sedative in the Victorian era, often served with milk to ease the stomach. Not something you plan to try tonight. What you're really more curious about is, besides potions, what else did people in this era try for better sleep? You start recalling the notes clippings and doctor scribbles you saw at the library. One entry mentioned, for unsettled minds, recite the dream prayer before bed. It included a wall passage that read, like 19th century sleep meditation. May the Lord grant peace to my dreams. May my soul drift like feathered snow, softly into the clouds. Even stranger, you remember seeing something called a shadow cap, a parent lie designed specifically for insomnia. CS. It came with an eye cover, a sewn-in pouch of dried hay and a few beans meant to block out light and emit a subtle art high. aroma. Its inventor was a self-proclaimed sufferer of nightmare spirals. Charming, one particular ad really grabs your attention. Night dream elixir slumber, like a baby, as nobility should. The illustration shows a smiling woman holding a cat that is very much awake. The formula, vaguely described as orange blossom extract, amber essence, and an Eastern spice. An Eastern spice. That phrase alone says a lot. Victorians had a fascination with anything exotic. They believed ingredients from the East, like my RRH benzoin or argar wood, had mysterious powers, even capable of dispelling nervous wind. Colonialism aside, you have to admire the enthusiasm with which they tried absolutely everything. Historians are still debating whether these aromatic concoctions had any real effect. Some argue that essential oils can genuinely influence the nervous system, especially under chronic stress. Others believe these were more like olfactory placebos. Comfort in Abatal. You lean back in bed, thinking about these strange inventions. As bizarre as they sound, there's something ODDLY comforting in knowing people once trusted beans sewn into hats to help them sleep. A scent, a stone, or a whispered prayer, anything to keep the night from swallowing them whole. You watch the pages of your old book flutter slightly, stirred by a breeze. The paper is quiet, but it's never silent. You decide to try out some of these supposedly bizarre Victorian sleep remedies yourself. Well, the kind that won't leave you feeling hungover the next day. You start with the simplest one, a foot soak. The book gives very precise instructions. Add 2 spoonfuls of sea salt, 3 slices of ginger, and 2 cloves to warm water. Soak until the skin turns pink. You rummage through your kitchen. No cloves, but figure it, probably 1 tea. Make or break the ritual. The water steams gently, inviting lie. You dip your feet in. Surprisingly, it feels pretty good. Not the kind of magical knockout good, but a definite lie slows your mind down, like a HORSE drawn carriage easing to a stop. As your feet warm up, you flip through your notes. Next up, sleep sachets. This one's very DIY. You find some dried rose petals in a drawer and a couple of leftover tea bags. You mix them with a few drops of lavender oil and stuff the blend into a small cloth pouch. Voila, your own homemade Victorian style sleep sachet. You hang it beside your bed, feeling just a little ridiculous. A modern person standing in their bedroom doing a historical sleep experiment. For what? Maybe for the ritual. Maybe that's enough. The book does unstop at gentle remedies. Some of the suggestions nearly make you spit out your tea. For example, if sleep remains elusive, place a cooked onion at the foot of the bed. According to 19th century household manuals, the weighty scent of onion helps bring down excess energy and soothes the mind. Others claimed it deter red mice and sleepwalkers because husiger frolic in a room that smells like stew. Another remedy veers into the mystical. Drop a silver coin into hot water, let steep for 3 minutes, then drink. This was called moonlight silver water, said to steady the heartbeat and purify dreams. You kind of want to time travel and ask them, are you trying to fall asleep or summon forest spirits? Historians still debate these oddities. Some argue they served as psychological cues, a way to mark the transition from daily toil to a personal moment of stillness. Others believe certain ingredients, lavender, ginger, salt, do have scientifically recognized effects on the nervous system. You turn off the main lights, leaving only Asmel amber lamp glowing. Beside you, your feet are pleasantly warm, and the sachet is releasing its soft, sweet scent into the air. In that moment, you realize something. Those quirky little methods weren't truly about sleep. They were about managing the lone lines of night before electric lights and radio. The dark hours were long, and for people who could unsleep, it must felt like the world had gone on without them. So they turned to scents, warmth, and rituals not solutions exactly, but companions. And now they're keeping you company too. While rummaging through materials for your sleep sachet, you suddenly remember something mentioned in your library notes. The dreamstone, according to the Victorians. This was azimuth little stone placed beside the pillow, often a piece of moonstone or obsidian, sometimes a local sea breeze stone. From Cornwall, people believed they could gather dreams, keeping nightmares from slipping loose during the night. Some families even carved little phrases into the stones, like, "Hold my dreams gently." You spend a few moments searching around your room, and finally dig out azimuth glass stone from an old jewelry box. It's a bluish-green color, with a faint light cool shimmer under the light. Not quite a traditional dreamstone, but it'll do for tonight. You carefully place it beside your pillow, your tiny dream guardian for the evening. The book continues. Some households combined the dreamstone ritual with another sleep aid, soft bedtime reading, not the kind filled with deep theological debates, mind you, but specially chosen pre-sleep texts. These were gentle poems, short vignettes, or pastoral scenes, all carefully void of any plot twists or exciting developments. One particular popular book was titled The Field at Night, Aquiote, description of a single field slow transformation from dusk to dawn. On the cover, a man sits in a haystack with a sleeping sheep beside him. Honestly, it looks more effective than melatonin. You try reading a few lines aloud, your voice barely above a whisper, but it still fills the room. The wind brushes the wheat like a whisper through linen curtains, and just then you realize many sleep issues aren't about being too tired, they're about your brain being too loud. Then there's a more unusual technique, dream visualization training. You're supposed to mentally build a dream landscape, down to the smallest detail, something like wearing linen pajamas in the distance. I can hear the squeaky wheels of a donkey cart. The goal isn't to control your dreams, but to gently pull your attention away from real world worries. Victorians called it thought steering, which feels surprising. Lie close to today's guided meditation. Historians are still divided over whether dream stones actually calm the mind. Some say the act was purely symbolic, drawing a mental boundary for the night, signaling it was time to let go. Others point to the science. Touch can have aerial physiological effect. Holding something warm, solid and familiar can lower your heart rate. You reach toward the little glass stone beside your pillow. It's warmed slightly by your body heat. You close your eyes and let yourself slip into that quiet village. The roofs are blue, the sheep are chewing slowly, and in the distance, a man is adjusting a wobbly wheel on his donkey cart. Sleep has end to come just yet, but you well on your way. Just when you thought you'd seen all the bizarre Victorian sleep aids, you come across something unexpected. In an 1893 household medical guide, the bedtime alcohol cotton ball. It sounds like something from a modern first aid kit, but back then, it was actually recommended as a way to purify the air and soothe the nerves before sleep. The instructions are confidently specific. Wrap it in silk and place it under your pillow for mental.com. You can help but wonder, was this aromatherapy or just a sneaky excuse to drink in moderation? Still, compared to actually drinking brandy, maybe this was a more disciplined approach. You follow the directions, adding a drop of brandy to a clean cotton ball. The scent is surprisingly sweet and warm. Less medicinal, more like a drowsy memory that reminds you of a more familiar bedtime companion, warm milk. Yep, it was already AMOM-approved sleep tonic back in the 19th century. The classic Victorian recipe often included a bit of nutmeg, honey, or sometimes orange blossom water. The fancier households even added a touch of ground almond for a silkier texture. You try recreating a cup, and it tastes pretty nice. Not guaranteed to knock you out, but definitely comforting. The book also mentions something even more niche, boiled dill water. Yes, that dill, the same herb you use for pickling. Victorians firmly believed dill had calming effects on both the stomach and nerves, especially when your mind was still racing but your body already felt exhausted. You think to yourself, this sounds like a 19th century version of bedtime herbal tea. You give it a tree, the taste, well. It's got a grassy, freshly mowed lawn kind of vibe. Not terrible, maybe oddly soothing, but the real eyebrow raiser among Victorian sleep drinks is something called still water. It's a mix of rose petals, distilled water, lemon peel, and a small amount of white wine, left to sit for 3 days and then sipped slowly before bed. It honestly sounds more like a perfume than a beverage. You picture yourself in a Victorian nightgown, standing by the window under gaslight, holding a delicate glass of still water, watching the London fog roll in. Romantic in theory. Effectiveness, debatable. Some scholars believe these nightly beverages were less about ingredients and more about structured relaxation rituals, a way to step away from the hustle of Victorian life and into a man-made night. Others point out that ingredients like honey nut oils and aromatic herbs do have mild effects on the nervous system and digestion, and sometimes just believing UVA entered a peaceful bedtime ritual is enough to trick your brain into winding down. Now tucked under your blanket, with a mug of warm dill tea by your side and the faint scent of brandy under your pillow, you're really not sure if any of this is actually altering your sleep physiology, but you are quite certain of one thing: you're slowly falling in love with these gentle Victorian nights. You're sitting at the edge of your bed, flipping through that slightly yellowed Household Health Habits Manual, when a loose page drifts out, probably a frequently referenced one, with its corners curled from where, at the top, it reads, "When the midnight bell tolls, how to set up a sleep-friendly room." You chuckle softly to yourself. Is this the Victorian version of a sleep optimization guide? But as you read on, you realize they kind of knew what they were doing. For instance, they firmly recommend placing your bed facing north, claiming it aligns with stable magnet Frickstalled. Shoo ir. You squint at that notion, scientifically shaky, sure, but the sheer ritualistic comfort of it feels oddly reassuring. You glance at your own bed, decidedly not north-facing, but you nudge your pillow slightly anyway, like offering a placebo to your overworked modern brain. The book also insists on covering mirrors at night. Supposedly, mirrors reflect nightmares and can jolt you awake. Sounds more like folklore than fact, but when you think about it, yeah, who does want to catch a glimpse of their own sleep-squished face in dim lighting? You drape a scarf over your mirror. Instant lie. The room feels softer. When it comes to bedside plants, Victorians had strong opinions. They favored what they called gentle-natured greenery, lavender, ivy, or a flower whimsically named night peace. This plant supposedly released a faint aroma at dusk and opened its petals only at night. Some historical texts link it to a species of dogwood, though scholars still debate its exact classification. You find yourself wondering who came up with the name night peace. It sounds like it was coined by someone who desperately needed a good night's sleep, but the part that really captures your imagination is their advice on bedroom sounds. They recommended placing a soft-tone box near your bed, a container filled with things like pebbles, a small pendulum, or dried grass seeds. When gently shaken, it made faint rust linger, soft clinking noises. You immediately reminded of today's white noise machines. Maybe those Victorian folks were ahead of their time in understanding how sound shapes the sleeping mind. You rummage through your drawer and find an old jewelry box. You drop in a few buttons and a pinch of dried flowers, then give it a little shake. The soft tapping sound is unexpectedly comforting, like someone quietly flipping pages in the next room or a crackling fire winding down. It's not beautiful, exactly, but it's oddly familiar. In an age without screens or electronics, this kind of man-made quiet must have been treasured. Some modern historians even argue that a Victorian bedroom was, at its heart, a theater of sleep. Every element, from mirror placement to potted herbs to ambient sound, choreographed to convince the body, you're safe now, you can let go, leaning back on your pillow, gently rocking your makeshift soft tone box, the delicate sound echoing in your ears. You start to understand these strange bedroom details weren't about design perfection. They were boundary markers, quiet declarations that night had arrived, and with it a little sanctuary carved out from the chaos of the world. You step into the kitchen, the wooden floor creaking underfoot, and discover that one of the most beloved Victorian-era sleep potions was warm milk. Yep, good old warm milk. They called it the cup of slumber, and often added ingredients that gave it a bit of magical flair like nutmeg, cloves, or even a touch of bay leaf. You pour milk into a pot, and as it warms, the room begins to fill with a soft, sweet aroma. According to the old recipe book, you should stir with a silver spoon, because silver purifies the dreamscape. You chuckle while rummaging through the drawer, no silver spoon in sight. Of course, but using a regular spoon and pretending a little can third. They also mentioned something called the golden sleep draft, a mixture of warm milk, a bit of honey, and a pinch of saffron. Definite lie sounding more like a noble's bedtime drink. Historians point out that saffron was incredibly expensive back then, so not everyone could afford this glowing luxury. There was, however, a commoner's version, chamomile and a hint of ginger, less grand, maybe, but reportedly just as effective. You decide to make that commoner's brew, watching the ingredients blend into something soft and fragrant. The kitchen starts to feel like it's been wrapped in a woolen blanket. You take a sip, small, slow, deliberate, and yeah, it works. Not just in taste, but in that subtle, psychological way, like someone made this for you with care. Victorian kitchen guides emphasized drinking your sleep potion while seated in a corner, ideally near a window or fireplace, wrapped in a shawl or blanket. This was meant to help the body slide gently into quiet mode, the equivalent of what we'd now call bedtime ritual. You find a spot by your window, wrap yourself in an old blanket. The night outside is soft and a little fuzzy. In the distance, your imagination supplies the clop of a light night carriage. Yes, you know it's all in your head, but it has a good touch. The book also advised that after drinking your cup of slumber, you shouldn't speak to anyone because the boundary of dreams is forming and mustn't be disrupted. It sounds a bit mystical, but you kind of get it. It is a graceful way of saying, I'm off duty now. Please do not disturb my descent into unconsciousness. You nod to no one in particular, lower your cup, and close your eyes for a few seconds, as if really crossing into a quieter dimension. Historians still debate whether these magic drinks had any measurable physical effects. Some argue it was pure placebo. Others note that tryptophan in milk does have calming properties, but most agree on this. Their true power lay in the willingness to believe that just maybe things would feel a little better afterward. You set the empty cup on your nightstand, like laying down the last of the day's noise. That warm sensation still lingers in your palm, and you can help but think maybe there's nothing more tender than a drink prepared slowly just for sleep. You wake up a bit earlier than expected. The sky is still dim, wrapped in that soft gray before dawn. Wrapped in your robe, you shuffle over to your desk and open that hefty household medical guide, diving deeper into the world of Victorian remedies for sleeplessness. And this chapter's star, scents. Yep, they genuinely believed that certain smells could induce dreams or even fend off night disturbances. A polity-waved Striorian scent, so you find all kinds of curious suggestions. Burn a pinch of dried lavender in the corner of your room before bed. Sow rose petals into your pillow. rubros vinegar and schoner. Yes, you heard, ribose vinegar. Supposedly, it softens the skin and soothes the nerves. You decide to give it a go. You toss some dry lavender into a little sachet and hang it by your bed. Then, you SPR. It's your curtains with a bit of diluted rose oil. The air instantly takes on this gentle, nostalgic scent, like a fancy old lady sword robe, or maybe your mom's bedtime hand cream when you were a kid. They also described something called the aromatic pillow treatment, which meant stuffing herbs like vervain, lemon balm, or even catnip into your pillow. You can help but laugh. Catnip. Is this to help me sleep, or to summon cats to sit on my face? But these weren't random ideas. Victorian doctors genuinely believed that herbal aromas could influence the frequency and tone of dreams through what they called the nasal nerve pathway. It sounds oddly close to modern aromatherapy, doesn't it? While not scientifically proven, they had already noticed that over stimulating scents lead to emotion, ally, intense dreams, while soft, sensual fells. You come across one particular amusing entry. A middle-class housewife reported insisted on using chamomile sachets nightly, saying it made her dream of buying low-fashioned. Historians still aren't sure if she was joking or if she just really liked that dream. This olfactory guidance method became surprisingly sophisticated. Some people added a pinch of clove and vetiver for emotional balance. Others preferred a bit of dried mint, claiming it made dreams clear and narratively rich. You start thinking, these people knew a thing or two about dream management long before Freud tried to make it as science. Scholars still argue over whether these scented sleep hacks had any real effect. Some say yes, they helped create a safe and familiar environment that lowered mental resistance to sleep. Others claim it was just a ritual, an antique way soothed the self. But honestly, you're not looking to take sides, because right now your bedroom feels more like a fair white tailing than it ever has. You take a deep breath. The room carries the soft blend of herbs. That little lavender sachet swings gently by your bed like at any silent night watch. You smile softly, close the book, and crawl back under the covers, letting the night wrap itself around you once more. You rub your eyes and find yourself in a Victorian-era study, the air filled with the scent of old books and flickering candles. Tonight, we read talking about how seriously they took sleep environments back then. You might think all you need is a blanket and a dark room. Nope, it was way more elaborate. They paid great attention to the bedroom as arrangement and atmosphere. For example, curtains had to be thick enough to block all light, because moonlight is too bright and disturbs the soul space. Sounds a bit mystical, but many took it seriously. You imagine a window covered by heavy, dark red velvet drapes, completely cutting off the moonlight. The room so quiet it feels like time itself slows down. The bed setup was just as important. Sheets and blankets were often washed in lavender water, believed to bring sweet dreams. You picture that soft purple scent seeping into the cotton fibers, like wrapping your body in a gentle protective shield. Pillows were secret weapons too, typically filled with goose down, soft but supportive, following the principle that a comfortable head leads to true sleep. Here's a quirky little tidbit. During the Victorian era, people loved a bedside gadget called the sleep clock. It was said to help people fall asleep with its ticking sound, kind of like today's white noise machines, but with a more mechanical and rhythmic beat. Historians still debate whether this was mere folk belief or an early scientific attempt. Either way, the idea of rhythmic sound aiding sleep remains popular even now. Thinking about modern noise and light pollution, you can help but feel that they're deliberately crafted. Perfect darkness plus gentle rhythm environment might be the true luxury sleep we missing today. These details weren't just decoration. They were rituals, quietly telling your body it's time to relax. You slowly lie back, fingers tracing the heavy blankets. You think that if you could time travel to that era, at least you would unsave to worry about your phone ringing at night. You smile and silently wish for sweet dreams tomorrow too. You just closed your eyes, still savoring the scent of deep purple lavender in your mind, when you suddenly remember that people in the Victorian era actually took the relationship between diet and sleep quite seriously. Did you? No, they believed what you ate at night directly affected the quality and duration of your dreams. For example, drinking a small cup of warm milk before bed was a classic recommendation because milk contains tryptophan, which helps relax the nerves. You imagine yourself holding a warm cup, sipping gently, feeling your body soften as if wrapped in a cozy spring of warmth. Don't underestimate this. Simple ritual historians still debate whether the components in milk really work that magic or if it's more about psychological suggestion. Besides that, there were many strange recipes and remedies. You may never have heard of beetroot soup for sleep. It was believed that the natural nitrates in beets could promote blood circulation, helping you enter deep sleep faster. You picture that deep red broth with its lightly sweet taste, like a gentle sedative for your body. Another rarer remedy was called poppy seed honey. Victorians believed it could bring peaceful nights. Of course, poppy seeds contain trace amounts of morphine, and academia is divided. Some say it might help relieve mild anxiety, while others worry about side effects from long-term consumption. You realize this might be a typical example of the Victorian approach to the blurred line between medicine and food. The boundary between the two was insular. Drinking a bowl of beetroot soup or eating a poppy seed dessert was almost like taking medicine, but felt less serious, more like a gentle ritual woven into daily life. You slowly swallow a breath, imagining yourself sitting around a warm kitchen table, listening to the wind softly blowing against the window. Tonight, maybe you too need a bowl of comforting beetroot soup or a warm glass of milk as a gentle goodnight. You feel yourself drifting towards sleep, but can help being curious about how people in the Victorian era used books and writing to soothe the restless minds. You open a thick, handwritten diary and discover it contains not only daily notes but also special recommendations for bedtime reading. Back then, there were no phones or TVs. Reading became the gentlest companion at night. People would pick light-hearted, amusing, or philosophical stories to read, such as natural descriptions, fables, or poetry. You imagine yourself leaning by the fireplace, candlelight flickering as you flip through a book, filled with stories about flowers and little animals. The words seem to carry a faint scent, slowly drawing you into a quiet world. Even more interesting, the Victorian era popularized something called hypnotic story collections. These books contained stories with especially slow pacing and calm language, designed specifically to slow down the mind. Historians still debate their actual effect on sleep. Some believe they read safer than medicine. Others think they read just psychological comfort. You also discover a peculiar practice called page massage, gently rubbing your cheeks and wrists with soft book pages. Legend says this activates nerve endings in the skin, promoting relaxation. It sounds odd, but when you try touching the pages, the softness of the paper and faint ink scent truly have a soothing power. You think about how you usually relax with e-books, but screen light and social notifications often break your focus. Maybe switching to paper books would help you enter that gradual calm state better. You close the book, your heartbeat slowing down, and the surrounding sounds seem softer. You realize that this literary therapy might have been one of the gentlest sleep aids of that era. You read almost asleep when suddenly a question pops into your mind. What strange exercises or calls the needs did Victorians use to fight insomnia? You might be surprised. They actually had special sleep exercises. These exercises emphasized slow, graceful movements combined with breath control, aiming to bring body and mind into balance. You imagine yourself dressed in heavy night clothes, gently stretching your limbs by candlelight. Each move like telling yourself relax, no rush tonight. Even more interesting, there was a practice called static yoga, popular at the time. Unlike modern yoga, Victorians focused more on meditation in stillness, such as lying on soft mats, closing your eyes, and concentrating on breathing. Historians still debate whether these exercises were continuations of traditional medicine or early explorations of Eastern culture. You also discover some curious gadgets, like massage balls and swing ropes, used to massage wrists and ankles, said to stimulate acupressure points and help you fall asleep faster. You think that's pretty much like today's massage balls. Maybe Victorians knew better how to pamper themselves with little gadgets than we do. With that in mind, you slowly lie down, adjust your breathing, and feel every muscle start to relax. You realize that even just a few minutes of these ancient sleep exercises might be enough to help you sleep more deeply tonight. You close your eyes and begin to wonder about the strange sleep scents and herbal, the Remedies, used in the Victorian era. After all, with limited drug options, natural plants became the most popular sleep aids. You imagine holding asthma sachet filled with lavender, chamomile, and rose petals. Victorians believed these fragrances could ease restlessness and relieve insomnia. You almost feel the sweet scent in the air, like being wrapped in a soft cloud. Interestingly, they also used a plant called night-blooming jasmine, which, when placed by the pillow, was said to release its unique scent at night to calm the mind. Scholars still debate whether these plant aromas have real effects or if it's purely psychological. Have you heard of incense burners? These were common Victorian household items used to burn spices, releasing smoke that helped relieve stress. You imagine yourself sitting on an old-fashioned sofa, a small incense burner flickering beside you as your eyelids grow heavy. Some plants were even made into pillow fillings, like lavender pillows, placed close to the cheek. You picture that delicate floral scent inhaled deeply with each breath, as if sleeping embraced by nature itself. You feel these ancient aroma. The Remedies offer a gentle comfort, letting your thoughts slowly drift away from the noise and sink into dreams. You're almost drifting into sleep now, but there's some last Victorian sleep secret: the nighttime drinks and tea. The Remedies popular at the time. Besides milk, Victorians had many specially brewed beverages designed to tackle various sleep troubles. You imagine yourself sitting in a warm kitchen, a pale yellow herbal tea on the table, brewed with valerian chamomile and mint. Victorians believed these herbs gently soothed the nerves and helped usher in sleep. Historians still debate the scientific basis of these recipes, but they definitely became a nightly ritual of that era. Even more interesting is a drink called sleep Persian tea, blending spices from the Far East with European herbs. It sounds like a taste journey through time and space. You take a gentle sip, feeling the mysterious exotic aroma and the faint sweetness, as if your whole body is slowly relaxing. You also think about how Victorians paid great attention to the tea drinking environment, usually by the fireplace or in a dim-light lit study, accompanied by soft music or natural sounds, creating an all-around relaxing atmosphere. You slowly set down the cup, feeling warm tea spreading through your chest. You realize these nighttime drinks weren't just helpers for falling asleep. They were a way for people of that era to gently care for themselves. You're now lying comfortably, your body gradually relaxing, your breaths slowing down. The sounds around you feel like a gentle lullaby, softly wrapping you up. You sense yourself floating on a soft cloud, each breath carrying a tender warmth. Imagine yourself slowly entering a quiet dream world, free from troubles and stress, filled only with calm and peace. Your thoughts ripple gently like water, gradually fading away, and your heart feels serene. There's no rush or worry, just the quiet night accompanied by a faint breeze. Peacefully drifting into sleep, let those ancient sleep wisdoms and gentle habits, like soft gestures, slowly guide you into deep rest. Tonight, you're ready to let your body and soul fully relax and welcome a sweet dream. Good night, my friend. May you have a restful sleep filled with gentleness and tranquility.